Welcome to another edition of Real Talk with Real People, a candid conversation with Dr. Caroline Bethea-Jones. This is part 2 of my candid conversation with Miss Linda Miller. Take a listen. Yeah, but might be union related, but it's not really. I want to talk about the upcoming election. Governor.
Tell your people to get their act together.
We're going to get into some serious conversation. It might get into some serious trouble too. But so what are your thoughts? Because I clearly really want to know your thoughts. I've been struggling with this, and so I don't want to struggle with something. So, I've been a voter for a long, long time.
Okay.
But for some reason, this particular upcoming election for the primary seat for the governor seat has been mind-boggling. So, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts, I'm Sean Spiller, hands down for me, because of what I have going on as far as like my profession right now. Mm-hmm. Also, things he's talked about as far as housing. I asked different questions. Other questions I've asked about. But specifically because he's the only one who's talking about what I need in my profession, in my union.
Okay.
No one else is talking about those things because that's not what they're about.
Right.
You know what I mean? So what I have trouble with, not you being uneasy, I have trouble with people listening to people who have nothing to do with your profession, and you listening to their narrative, talk about what you got going on. And that's what I have issue with. People with narrative and they don't know. And I'm like, well, how long you been in this union? Because they act as if, because this is information I'm getting from different social media. And it's our union Facebook groups, and I'm in there, and then you have to school people. Like certain things. It's okay to say, well, you know what? This person said this, and you trying to really make a good decision for yourself.
Right,
That's great, because at least you're thinking. Some people are like,
thinking.
Well, no, this and that. I'm like, no, where you been? Because some of the questions that they are asking, that has already been asked and answered. And what I find is the other Democratic candidates were nervous because when you say 200,000 educators, they were like, whoa. And that came out in the beginning. Mm-hmm. Now we know there were certain things that he didn't meet, but okay, we still working. And some people would thought that he would have given up on that. I said, do teachers give up?
Yeah. Okay.
I said, do the educators give up? When they tell us that we're not doing our job, do we give up? We show up.
Yeah.
So I think if we would show up at least for this, it would bring a message. Because I look at it like, when they're talking about him, our state president now, they're talking about us too.
Okay.
And that's how I look at it. They're coming for him. They're coming for you too.
Okay. So somebody out there who's listening to this podcast who do not know Sean Spiller intimately the way we know him, because he's our current president of NJEA. So you have somebody out there who may say, I never heard of him. I don't know who he is. I never heard of him. What would you say? Because it's not me or you out here really trying to force people's hands, but we have a stake in this.
Right, we definitely
have a stake in this. Educators,
for the first time.
Right, we have a stake in this, as educators. But when you're trying to talk to somebody who's not an educator, who may not understand the full scope of what's at stake, what advice do you say? It's not even advice. What do you say that can convince somebody who may not have a knowledge of, for us, it's like our pension and what happened with the pension all those many years ago under certain other governors. A lot of people who are not educators don't know about that, nor do they care. So how would you convince someone outside of an educator to even give it a try, to even consider?
Well, a couple of things I would say, because like my family, they're not educators.
Right.
So I had to, get them to start coming out. Well, one sister, she works in school, but regardless, I had to, because they didn't know. They're like, well, who is this person? He's part of your thing, so you tell us about it. And then I said, well, he was the mayor of Montclair. I said he did some great things in Montclair with housing, and that's something that I need. I said I need him to help the other landlords to ease up on the rent, and that's something he talked about. There was a question about infrastructure. He answered that very nicely because there was something big that happened in his town when he was running it. And he answered it about infrastructure and what he had to do. And he also just talks about how he got his housing, how he is an immigrant. So a lot of the things that are coming down the pike from the federal, he actually has literally dealt with. He's seen it firsthand. And he's ready to help the community because public school helps the community. A lot of things that our students get, they're not going to get from private and charter and all those different kind of things. And then you have to think about when, let's say there was no union at all. The things that we've got because of a union also affect like the retail workers. They got some of those things because of us. And I'm like, I worked in private school where you had one personal day and 3 sick days for the whole entire year.
For the whole year, yeah.
So I've been in that life where you didn't have anyone speaking out for you. And I believe he's for the people. And you can ask him any question that you want. Just ask him. Like, I believe that he has shown himself as personable. And he actually has a plan. You know, when you talk to him, he's not just giving fluff. He's breaking down what you ask. And he's actually answering the question.
Okay.
I've listened to some of the debates of the people. And they're not answering the question. They'll say, "Oh, we're gonna think about what's going on, and we'll think about once I get in, then we'll talk about what you're talking about."
Right.
No, and I also need you to fight what's going on in the federal government right now. And he's willing to fight that. He's willing to, like I said, he didn't get his money that he needed for matching funds, right? So some stages he won't be on, but he's still out there fighting.
Yeah.
And so that's what I would tell them, that he didn't take big money from big government, from different private people. Like, you can take whatever money you want, but you also have to think about who you're going to be beholden to once you get into the office.
Okay.
And he's not, what I also like, he's not just talking to educators, because the state of New Jersey is not just built on educators.
Right. That was my whole point of the question, because we know that. It's not about just the educators. We can't put a governor in office whose platform is, I'm going to do this for the educators. What are you going to do for the other New Jersey people?
Right, and he's actually been answering those questions and talking about that. So just trying to get us on board has just been kind of shaky. Okay,
and I know we said that we wasn't going to talk about the union, but we have to, because he's part of the union and he's running for the governorship. And you're concerned that when you said to get us on board, you're talking about the 200,000 union members, right?
Yes.
And it's not unusual that you would have that great divide. We had that great divide even in the regular election.
Yeah, because also what he looks like is also a factor.
Yeah. So.
That's a big factor.
We're being candid here. Yes. So if you're going to keep it candid.
Yes. That's a big factor.
It's always going to be a big factor.
And it's not going to change. It's not going to change. Mind you, we have 2 in the race. So that's not going to change. So a lot of people don't like that.
Yeah.
And we've never had an educator. And it's funny because people will say, go back to the classroom. But guess what? As long as I know, education has always been a part of politics. It's always been on the menu. All the time. So we have to start looking at the menu and start eating and saying what we want.
So I think it's about education. When I say it's about education, I'm not talking about it's about our profession of education. Right. It's about educating people.
Correct.
Because even, I'm going to be real honest. This is candid. And I'm no fluff in this place. I literally wanted to make sure that I was making a conscious choice. I have a responsibility to make sure that I am voting responsibly.
Correct.
Which means I have to I got to ask the hard questions. I have to ask the questions, why should I vote for you? And I'm going to need you to tell me why. Because I have to be responsible for who I vote for. And I don't really want it to be assumed that I'm going to vote for you because we have an affiliation.
Correct.
Don't try to belittle my intelligence. Correct. I'm not cheap material. I'm going to seriously need to know why I should vote for you.
Correct.
And it can't just be because you're an educator.
No, it has to be more than that, because you have to look at the big scope. And you got to look at, imagine you go into your office. You're looking at the entire school, whatever your role is in that office. you're looking at the whole school. You're not just looking at a piece of it.
Exactly.
So you have to figure out how to design, how to do this and how to do that, and how to make sure that everything's in alignment, whether it's your job is to make sure all the students are here. I don't know, like I said, I don't know what your actual role is, but I know there is, you guys keep track of who's in the building.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
number one. Even when we leave the building, like I'll leave and go do therapy across the street at the daycare. I sign myself out in the book so that if something went wrong, they can go, well, wait a minute, where's Miss Miller? Oh, okay, she's across the street. Okay, so there's something, you guys are doing that. So there's a game plan.
That's my actual role, by the way.
Oh, okay.
I keep track of that,
and that's important. Like when people, we come in late, early, whatever. You guys are. This is I said. This is very important.
Yeah, it's called accountability, and it's about accountability. Let's put it that way, and we all have to be accountable for it. This is going to be a very interesting election.
It definitely is, because you see a lot of people, and we also saw who the Democratic Party chose. A person who wasn't for us in the first place. They chose, she's on the ticket, Mikey Sherrill, she's on the ticket for the Democratic Party.
Oh yeah, I know, she's on the ticket. We have a lot of people on the ticket. How many was it? 11 people in total?
No, but I'm saying the Democratic Party actually chose her. You know how they choose people that they're going to give money to and back?
Oh, okay.
Well, she's on that ticket.
And you said that she's not for us. When you say she's not for us, can you specify the us that you're talking about? Okay, so she's on a Democratic ticket, but she's not for Democrats.
Not that she was a Republican.
All right, so she just changed her party so that she can, she's doing some strategic stuff going on here.
Right.
But that don't mean we as Democrats should have, what was the rationale?
I have no idea. I have no idea. We can flip when we want to flip.
I mean, we can flip.
Right.
So
we can flip, and that was another conversation too. There was a lot of Republican, and like I said, you can vote for whoever you want. Just vote.
Yeah.
But also make sure you're making a conscious decision.
That's what I'm trying to say.
About what's like. I'm not. This wants you to vote. You can whether you vote in liberal, but we know in the primaries you're either Democrat or Republican.
Democrat or Republican.
You can't be liberal in the primaries. But it was a couple of colleagues, and they were red. And I'm like, oh, so you voted for that, the man who's in 1600. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I know you voted for him. But they were saying that they liked some of the things that he talked about. I said, well, tell me which ones you like. Tell me what things you like. So we're having a definite conversation, because there's no shame and blame. But don't complain when things now are happening, because now you see what he's doing. And I said, well, everything he's doing is impacting me.
Right. But see, and that's the kind of conversation we're having right now. I want to see the whole package. Mm-hmm. Like you said, there are people who voted for the one who's in our
president.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying not to mention his name.
I know.
I'm trying not to say his name. But the one who sits in that seat right now, many people voted for them.
Elon Musk.
But many people voted for a specific. I want to. He's going to do this for me. But you cannot go into a voting booth. At least in my mindset, I'm thinking we cannot go into a voting booth to vote for one particular thing that affects you while we're not looking at the whole. I want to make sure that we are looking at the whole entire package. It can't be, you cannot vote for somebody who's going to give you good housing, because we talked about housing, while the rest of the world implodes. It can't be that. Mm-hmm. And we have to be a little bit more informed, a little bit more educated, so that we can, and we know that the whole of our country is not educated.
Oh, we know.
And I don't mean educated, I'm not calling nobody, I'm talking about educated in politics.
Correct.
Because even my politic knowledge is limited.
Right. I got more as the years went, but the last few years I've gotten more involved in knowing what's what.
Right. So I'm trying to be more informed. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to learn more about it. I don't want it to just, and I'm hoping that this conversation, this is a conversation about you making an educated vote. This is a conversation about you. Let's take our votes seriously. Let's get all the information. Let's not vote because our friends told us to vote. Or let's educate ourselves on the issues before we go into a voting booth. So this is not about, you and I are not well, you might be endorsing somebody. I personally am not endorsing anybody. When I tell my friends and my family to go vote, I'm telling them to educate themselves, to vote their conscience, vote with a little bit of understanding of why you're going into the.
Oh yeah, you definitely should. And my people, they like to they ask the questions and they down
exactly.
And that's what you want to do. Like I said, I'll say I know who I'm voting for. But
yes.
Here's some things. But if you want to go to, and we watch the debates, because you have to listen to everybody.
That's what I'm saying.
You have to listen to everybody.
You have to listen to everybody. You can't isolate yourself and say, I'm only going to listen to this person because I made my decision about, and then you don't listen to me. I don't want people like that voting.
Right.
I'm sorry. I'm going to be like all the way real. Have people all the way hate me right now.
You have to have your own mind.
But I'm going to need you to be able to have your own mind. But have an informed mind.
Well, see, that's another thing. It was a couple of conversations that was happening. And it was like, vote for this person. I said, but they're not looking at you. I said, you still working? I said, that person's not going to help you out. I said, at the end of the day, some of these people want it to be a right-to-work state, which means there's no union. So some states just got back their bargaining rights. Yeah. So let's be careful about.
Yeah, you have to keep all of that. All of those things have to be in the forefront of your mind. Yes. And for us as educators, because we already see the attack on education.
Yes, for no reason.
For no reason. I totally agree. So I can understand the passion. But I guess what you don't understand is the not understanding how you are affected by whoever goes into the office, right? That's what you're saying, right?
Right, exactly. Because even we had a conversation, I brought up, well, what are you going to do about car insurance?
It's a legitimate question. Right. New Jersey car insurance is kind of expensive.
Right, and I said it started back with Christine Town Women. She raised our rates. And it was supposed to be for the people who are uninsured. What are we going to do about that?
Absolutely.
So he was giving answers.
And housing is a problem, a legitimate problem.
Right. So I try to ask people questions that's not education. Especially when it came to Mrs. Spiller. I don't want to know about education because I already know what you got going on.
Right.
I've been working with you and pushing with you, so I already know that. But there are other questions, because even my daughter, she asked a question about what they're going to do about the sinkholes. Like every time you turn around, there's and these are the things because you want them.
Because this is specific for New Jersey, and New Jersey has its own set of specific problems.
Exactly.
And so we want to know. We're not talking about the country right now. We're talking about New Jersey, and New Jersey has a set of specific issues that need to be addressed.
Yes.
The school system is a big, important issue for New Jersey, and I'm not even just talking about pensions right now. I'm talking about education.
Right.
I'm talking about early education. I'm talking about equality in education. There is a lot that we need to talk about in New Jersey, period.
Right.
And all those things need to be addressed because we're from New Jersey.
Exactly. So
and we have to ask the right questions because and New Jersey happens to be a really expensive state to live in.
It is, and I want I want us to do better about voting. Because we cannot just wait until the next 4 years and vote for a president, and then half the time we're going to sit out that too.
Yes.
But every election, whether it's our municipalities, all of that, even in our union, there's vote. We just had elections. And some people are still doing elections, whether it's their local district or what have you. People don't vote. But then for me, there's no education about voting and the importance. I said that we should do a workshop on your if there's a vote out right now. Now this is not true. Just let me disclaimer. This is not true.
This is just a simulation, people.
Right.
Go ahead.
So next year you will only get paid once a month, not twice a month. Are you going to vote on that? That's the vote.
I'm going to vote on that.
Right.
Okay.
So if you bring people in with something like that, because that's not happening, right?
Yeah.
But still, if you start talking about people's pocketbooks, and that wallet that seems to be shrinking, then people go, oh wait, did they say something? We only get paid once a month. Wait a minute, because every time I turn around, someone's like asking, where's our payday? Where's our payday? I'm like, you don't know when you get paid right now. Come on.
Yeah.
But if we started talking about elections within
the union, within our union, yeah, absolutely,
starting in September,
how important it is.
Right, and
then you will get a mindset about how important voting is. Period. When you're talking about voting for a president or a governor or even your mayor.
Yes, everything, council and school boards. You know, some of these mayors, Jersey City, he wanted to appoint them. Be like, no. But people are still pushing for that. Appointing school board members. No, they need to be elected.
They need to be elected.
You know, all of those things. But we have to, not shame and blame people, because a lot of times that happens.
You know, I think that there's something to be said about being elected. As you know, because you've been elected to certain positions.
Right.
Right. I was elected just this year to be on the national board.
Yeah.
It's different from being elected and being appointed. To me, it's different, because I was appointed to the resolutions committee when my first year in the resolutions committee. I was appointed by President Pringle, right? But then I was elected. And that meant more to me that I was elected. And to be elected to be on the national board, that meant a lot to me, because that meant people voted. There's a different feeling about being elected. I felt I'm doing this for the people. The people elected me to speak for them. And I'm speaking for the people. I'm not in your pocket now. I'm not doing this because somebody put me in this position just to put me in this position. No, I'm doing this because the people has decided that I could be a voice for them. So now I want to be a voice for them. So it's the same way when we are electing our governor, we are electing our president, we are electing our mayor. Please don't get it twisted. We, the people, have put you there. Therefore, we have certain expectations that you're going to do the job that we put you in, right?
Come on.
Right? And that's really, but it has to start somewhere, like you said. I like that you said that. If you can see in your union how to be elected into a position, and now you have an obligation to work for the people who elected you, people think that, put it to you this way. My daughter writes a letter to the mayor all the time.
Yes. Yeah, we have to realize that we have power, and sometimes we have to. You mentioned this earlier about educating yourself on the person, what's going on, and you got to know what the issues are too, because you got your own issues, and then what's the collective issues that's going to impact everyone. A lot of times we vote for people that we just I know their name, so I'll just vote for them. You know, they haven't been doing any work.
Nope.
They haven't been doing anything, and you still voting.
You need to ask the question.
And you're not even expecting them to do anything different. So
so you come over here, the people come to your door and say, oh, can we count on your vote for Mayor Samuels? That's not my mayor, y'all. I'm just saying that. Mayor Samuels. Well, the first thing I'm going to ask what has Mayor Samuels been doing? Why should I vote for him?
Right.
Tell me what he's done for the city of East Orange for the last 4 years.
Right.
Or 3 years, however many years it takes for a mayor to get reelected. And again, y'all, Mayor Samuels is fictional.
Right.
He's not my mayor, okay? I'm just using that as an example. But I'm going to ask those questions. I'm always going to ask those questions. Yes. Why? What have you done? Exactly. All right, so, even something like the city council, okay, so what is my councilwoman doing again?
Nothing.
Why should I vote for her again?
Nothing.
Maybe we should get somebody new in here that's actually going to do something. I haven't heard from my city council person until it's election time. What are you doing for your ward? Why should I vote for you again?
Exactly.
These are questions I want you to answer. These are questions I want people to ask. So when you hear me, I started out, it was a little shaky because okay, now here she go. Here's another person who's speaking against Sean Spiller. No, I'm not. I'm not. People, I'm not. But what I want you to do is open up your eyes and ask the right questions. You have a right to go to Washington You don't have to just go to Washington because you're on the national board
Right.
or because you're part of your local. You can go to Washington anytime you want to. You can go through those doors of Washington anytime you want to ask the same questions
Correct.
that NEA is asking, that NJEA is asking. You can ask those same questions. What I'm trying to get you to do is be more involved. I want you to ask those questions.
Yeah.
I want you to write your mayor. I want you to write your congressperson.
Exactly.
I want you to ask, Sean Spiller, what he's doing for you. I want you to ask Cory Booker what you're doing. What are you doing for me? LaMonica MacGyver, what are you doing? I need to know. I need to know how you are helping the poor, average person. I want to know how why should I vote for you again? Why should you get my support?
Exactly. And there's nothing wrong with having and I think the person who is running and who's for the people and who really wants to effect change.
Exactly. We'll answer those questions.
Right. And they have no problem with you asking those questions.
And hold them accountable. We need to hold people accountable.
Yeah.
We need to hold our congressmen accountable. We need to hold the president accountable.
Yes.
But if we feel like we don't have the right to do that, and this is how they keep people in a sheep mentality, keep people in ignorance. We don't want you to know that you have a right to ask these questions,
Yeah, and we can't be afraid. That's something I hadn't been doing, like holding because I moved from one place to the next, so I have a different council person. But now it's like, you know what? You have to do your job. You have to say, okay, he or she is the council person. Now you have to do what you just said. So in my area, this is what I need. How are you doing? What are you doing to address this? What are you doing to address that? How can we only see you when you are running?
That's right.
Because you have a whole ward. There's so many things that you could do for the ward. You can even have a special meeting for your ward.
That's right.
You can do all of those things. But you got the position, and that's why my new thing is people with titles who do no work, they're statues.
That's what they are. I'm popular among the people. People love me just simply because. So they're going to keep me here. You're going to keep voting for the same person because you know them.
Name
because
recognition.
They're popular. There you go. Name recognition. I'm just going to keep voting for you because, your name's been on this ballot for like ever. So
Exactly.
I know your name, so I'm going to vote for you.
Right. And if you have an up and coming person who's like, they're like, well, who is that?
Right. I've never heard of her.
Who is Linda? What's she doing?
I've never heard of Dr. Caroline Bethea-Jones ever. But Dr. Caroline Bethea-Jones have been doing work in this union for over 8 years. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
She didn't just pop up, So things like that. Linda Miller. Who's Linda Miller? Do I know Linda Miller? Well, Linda Miller's been doing the work in the union without recognition.
Right.
She's been doing it behind the scenes. She's been doing it without you knowing who she is, okay? You need to know these things.
Exactly.
Because now you're starting to, you're part of the problem when you just elect people because you know them. Exactly. Or they're popular because they've been there before.
Right.
And we need to stop doing that. We need to stop doing it on a local level, in a union. We need to stop doing it in our local. We need to stop doing it because when we learn, and we're hoping that whoever's listening to this is understanding that you have an obligation and a responsibility.
Yes, you have a right.
And you're saying, what is that right and that responsibility and that obligation? It's to hold people accountable for the job you elect them to do.
Exactly. Know what the job is and know what they're supposed to be
Exactly.
doing. And how do you want them to impact your community?
Exactly.
Like, what are they doing? And then what can you do to make sure they're doing it?
That's right. Call them up. You know what I'm saying? Send them an email or write them a letter. Or even go visit their office because you have a right to do that as well.
Yes.
So many people think that they don't have a right to hold political people accountable.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about you. I'm going to talk about what you ain't doing. I'm going to talk about what you did not do. And I'm going to do it from every level. I'm going to do it from the union side. If you ain't doing your job that you were elected to do, if you are a union member and you have a position and you ain't doing nothing in that position or you ain't doing what you say you're supposed to do, well, I might be calling you out. Yeah. Okay? And I'm sorry if that hurts somebody's feelings or whatever. If my local president, for instance, ain't doing the job of a local president, then I'm going to keep saying so. I'm going to keep saying so until you stop voting for her because she's popular or because you're afraid. I'm afraid to do this, so I'm just going to keep the person in there who's been doing. But the person in there who's doing it ain't doing nothing. Yeah. They're not doing nothing for you.
Fear is a real thing.
Okay, it is a real thing. But I'm hoping that we can talk people out of the fear part.
Yeah, it's a lot of backlash that people are not willing to get involved in because it's real painful. I know personally, backlash is real, and some people are afraid to step into that because they know, they're like, oh, I know what's gonna come if I do this, so they shrink, so they don't do, and that's where we miss out on the good members. We miss out on the good community people because they are afraid to use their voice.
Yes.
You know,
backlash is real.
Backlash is definitely real. So some people have used their position not for good. Not for good. At all. You know, they may do like one thing because, you know, it's all about ops. You know, photo op here, photo op there. I'm at this and there. See what I'm doing? I help this person because I like them, so it makes it look good, so I don't have to do nothing else. Okay. But no, you're not building a community, because the community can be really, really strong, because all you have to do is look at the numbers of where you live and who votes. You can look it up. They show you how many people in your area voted. Yeah. And you're like, wait a minute. At 2 o'clock, I was number 74? For real? Come on.
But then also too, that plays a big part as to why you may not be getting what you're supposed to be getting in your community. Yes. Like my ward may, you know, I'm gonna be saying like, how come they're doing great things in Ward 1 and Ward 2? I'm Ward 5 and I ain't seeing none of that. Where's the stuff I'm supposed to be seeing? Maybe it's because the people in my ward ain't going out to vote. You know?
Right, exactly.
So I know we've been talking about politics a lot, but we are in a very political time right now. Ooh. And it's very important that we understand that we are in a very crucial political time right now. And I hope, if anything else, that people are saying, okay, why are they talking about this? I'm talking about this so that you can understand how important your role is in this.
Yes.
I want you to see how important your role.
It impacts you.
It impacts you.
No matter what you think.
Even when you do nothing, it impacts you. When you say nothing, that impacts you. When you just go along to get along, that impacts you. And I want to make sure that we're understanding that. Thank you for listening to Real Talk with Real People, a candid conversation with Dr. Caroline Bethea-Jones. I hope to see you again soon.